The storm arrived without warning, but it wasn't the thunder that made my heart stop. It was the soft knock on my bedroom door just after midnight, followed by 4 trembling words that would change both of our lives forever. "Can I stay with you?" My roommate, Hannah, stood in the hallway soaked from the rain, clutching a small backpack as if it held everything she had left. She wasn't afraid of the storm outside. She was afraid of something much deeper, and the look in her eyes told me that nothing would ever be the same again. Before we continue, if you believe in kindness, hope, forgiveness, compassion, and second chances, please take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who needs encouragement, leave a thoughtful comment, and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps these heartfelt stories reach people who may need them the most. I had lived with Hannah for almost a year in a quiet apartment outside Portland, Oregon. We had been strangers brought together by a rental listing, but over time, we learned each other's routines. She loved old books, watered the little plants on our balcony every Sunday, and always left a fresh pot of coffee ready before I woke up for work. She smiled often, but never spoke much about her past. I respected that silence because everyone carries memories they aren't ready to unpack. That night, however, everything felt different. Rain hammered against the windows while the wind bent the trees outside. Hannah's hands wouldn't stop shaking. Her sweater was soaked, and her eyes looked exhausted, as if she hadn't slept in days. I told her she didn't need to explain anything. She could have my room while I took the couch. Instead of looking relieved, she broke down in tears. They weren't loud sobs. They were the quiet tears of someone who had spent far too long pretending to be strong. The next morning, she apologized repeatedly for interrupting my night. I assured her there was nothing to apologize for, but I noticed something that stayed with me. Every time her phone buzzed, the color drained from her face. She would stare at the screen, lock it without reading anything, and place it face down on the table. I never asked questions because trust grows best when it isn't forced. Over the following days, little pieces of the truth slowly surfaced. Hannah had spent years caring for her mother, Eleanor, who had struggled with serious health problems. Medical bills had consumed nearly everything they owned. After her mother passed away, Hannah discovered that the family house had to be sold to settle debts. She had hidden her grief behind long work hours and cheerful smiles, convincing herself that staying busy meant moving forward. But grief doesn't disappear simply because we ignore it. It waits patiently until one ordinary night, when even the sound of rain can make the walls you've built come crashing down. What frightened her most wasn't losing a house. It was the overwhelming feeling that she no longer belonged anywhere. The backpack she carried into my room that stormy night contained photographs, a worn family Bible, and the last birthday card her mother had written. Everything else had been left behind. I wasn't wealthy or particularly wise. I worked as a maintenance supervisor at a local community college, paying my own bills, one paycheck at a time. Yet something inside me kept saying that sometimes the greatest gift isn't solving someone's problems. Sometimes it's refusing to let them face those problems alone. Over the next several weeks, our apartment slowly changed. We cooked dinner together instead of eating separately. On Saturdays, we volunteered at a neighborhood food pantry, where Hannah's laughter gradually returned. She began talking about her mother, not only the sadness of losing her, but the funny stories, the family traditions, and the lessons about kindness that still lived inside her heart. Every memory shared seemed to replace a little more of the silence she had been carrying. One afternoon, an elderly volunteer named Grace quietly pulled me aside. She smiled and said she hadn't seen someone rediscover hope like that in years. I looked across the room and watched Hannah helping a young family carry grocery bags to their car. For the first time since that storm, she wasn't looking over her shoulder. She was looking ahead. Months later, when spring finally replaced the endless Oregon rain, Hannah handed me a small envelope. Inside was a simple note, thanking me for opening a door that night without asking for explanations. She wrote that people often believe miracles arrive with dramatic signs, but sometimes miracles look like a lamp left on, a warm meal waiting in the kitchen, or someone quietly saying, "You're safe here." If this story has touched your heart so far, please consider supporting the channel by liking the video, sharing it with friends and family, and subscribing. so we can continue bringing stories that remind us how powerful simple acts of kindness can be. Before we reach the end, I'd love to hear from you. Please leave a comment telling us about a person who gave you hope during a difficult season, or someone whose kindness changed your life. Your story may become the encouragement another viewer desperately needs today. Looking back, I often think about that storm. I used to believe it was the worst weather we'd ever experienced. Now, I realize it became the beginning of something beautiful. Hannah eventually found the strength to build a new life, not because every problem disappeared, but because she discovered she didn't have to carry every burden by herself. And I learned that opening your home for one night can sometimes open someone else's heart for a lifetime. In a world that often moves too quickly to notice quiet struggles, compassion remains one of the greatest gifts we can offer. Sometimes all it takes is one open door, one act of trust, and one person willing to say, without asking for anything in return, "You're not alone anymore." At Sankon, it went easy down.